Hello, good afternoon, assalamu alaikum, and good afternoon from Alif Investment, Alif Technologies, and this is Saeed Asif Zaman, the founder and chairman of Alif Technologies. I welcome you all, and today's our topic is understanding blockchain, and this in Alif Technologies. Let me introduce myself and my company, which are what we are doing. My name is Saeed Asif Zaman. And our company, Alif Technologies, basically is a technology-based company in working in 3 dimensions in academia, consulting, and development. Development of classic and this conventional softwares and softwares in blockchain. And in academia, we have started an e-learning series in which we are introducing different topics and different speakers. And today our speakers are Dr. Farooq Habib and Kawame Akafo, and he's a very well-known person. He's from UK, and he have been doing automation and other things in UK for the government, UK government. And Dr. Farooq, are you there? Are you with us? In there will be 3 segments in of our this webinar. One is about the understanding of blockchain, how the blockchain works and what does blockchains do, and then the second work is that what are these smart contracts and how these smart contracts and DE apps, what are these things and how these things are working on that one. And the lastly is the use cases of blockchain. So our webinar will start with understanding of blockchain and is blockchain and what's the difference between blockchain and Bitcoin. And anybody who have a question, he can post on the this chat box, and later when this every presentation is ended, then they can ask the questions which they have want to concern about. So to you, Dr. Farooq and Dr. Farooq Habib, please. Your mic is not unmute, Dr. Farooq. Can you unmute?
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Asif. It was a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much for the nice introduction. And inshallah, I will be talking about the technology which has become a buzzword. It is called blockchain technology, and I will be let me just share my screen with you so that like it would be easy for you to follow up my my presentation. So, okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to talk about blockchain technology, as Mr. Asif has indicated. And in this presentation, I will be talking about what is blockchain, what was the background, and also what is the potential of blockchain. And there is basically a confusion among masses that whether cryptocurrency is similar to blockchain and blockchain is equivalent to cryptocurrencies. So I'm going to talk about this as well, which is very, very important for our understanding that what is blockchain and how it can be used. So without further ado, I will just move on to my second slide. And here you can see that today we are going to learn that about the inception of blockchain, history of blockchain, developments in blockchain. And then second section, I will be talking about understanding what is it. So the components of blockchain and how does blockchain work. we are going to discuss this as well. And what are the characteristics of blockchain, why it is so important, and why it has become a very important technology that many experts and IT professionals have already said that blockchain has initiated a new era of internet. So it has become internet 2.0. Blockchain blockchain is basically the main initiator for this new era. And we have also uh, read, and there are so many researchers holding the position that blockchain, previously it was only internet which is used for communication, and now blockchain has transformed internet into a mode of value transferring, and also um the value ownership transfer also, and communicating with the value. So now it has become internet of value. So moving on, uh, so the about the in section one is about the inception of blockchain. So here let me just give you a brief history of blockchain, that although we think that blockchain has started very recently, but you can see that the work and the research has started long time ago. So initially in 1989, DigiCash was there. It was a project, and it was introduced by David Chaum, and it was a centralized system, so it was not as robust and as in the form as we know that, like blockchain is a decentralized system. So initially it was a centralized system, but anonymous encrypted system was already there, and encryption techniques were used at that time as well, which we are also using at the moment. Although like those techniques have also become further improved, but in the main idea was already there. While people, David Chaum specifically was looking into how two transacting parties can communicate and transact with each other without disclosing their identity. And but what happened was, like David Chaum and DigiCash, this project faced a lot of restrictions from the regulations, and also it went into troubles due to some business and commercial aspects. So because of that, it was not very successful. And after that, B Money in 1996 was introduced by VDI, uh, and again it was an anonymous system based on proof of work again. And because this is also very important, that VDI exactly gave the idea of using proof of work and anonymous for an anonymous system. And but the problem was that it was only a concept, and it was never deployed in a live software system. And just after 2 years of that, BitGold was also introduced by Nick Szabo. Again, the system was anonymous, but this time it was distributed, and also it was based on proof of work system. But in fact, it is very interesting to know that, like the reasons why it was failed is not very clear, that why it was there, because it has so much resemblance with the Bitcoin. But again, in 1998, I think the infrastructure and the technology was not fully matured at that time. Because of that, the idea was not able to be flourished. And then in 2009, Bitcoin was introduced by Satoshi Nakamoto. And again, the system was anonymous, distributed, based on proof of work system, and it was successfully deployed. So this basically happened, and that gave the birth of that gave the birth to Bitcoin. Not only that, and also the underlying platform, which is called blockchain. And in 2011, so many altcoins emerged, like Namecoin, Litecoin, Peercoin, and they were different from Bitcoin in some features. And the as you know that like after that it started a cryptomania. But I'm not going to talk about this, but definitely we need to understand that after 2011, what happened is like people have started analyzing the underlying platform. And then in 2013 and 14, people actually started having POCs, proof of concepts, based on blockchain, which were not involved in cryptocurrencies. So like they were able to appreciate that the blockchain is basically a general platform, and that general platform can be used for various things. So later on, Mr. Asif is going to shed some light on the use cases of blockchain. So, and also Mr. Kwame is going to also talk about smart contracts and dApps, which are automated softwares running on blockchain. So that is basically gave a value addition to blockchain system, and that can be that's why this system can be used without getting involved into cryptocurrencies at all. If you look at the technical developments, so we can see that blinding algorithms like anonymous algorithms were created by David Chaum in 1983, and he was able to deploy them when he initiated his project about DigiCash in 1989. And these algorithms actually used cryptographic encryption technique to achieve anonymity of the transacting parties. And in 1991, Stuart Haber and Scott introduced the concept of cryptographically secured chain of data blocks. So when we are saying blockchain, actually, so it is basically a secured chain of blocks which contain data. So that is the main intuition behind calling it a blockchain. So, but this idea is not very new. Uh, Haber and Scott were working on it since 2000 and 1991. And then later on, in 1992, they also incorporated Merkle trees, because when you have a chain of data, so the size of the database gets bigger and bigger, and then you have problems of security and also storage. So then they used the concept of Merkle trees to further improve its efficiency by allowing several documents to be collected into one block of data. So that was already done in 1992. And in 1996, VIDA introduced the concept of solving computational puzzles, Hashcash, as proof of concept, proof of work. Sorry, with the decentralized consensus algorithm for a digital money system. So here, VIDA introduced actually the proof of work concept, which I might be touching later on in depth. So these building blocks actually were created at that time. And in 2005, Hall Finney introduced the concept of reusable proof of work to create a cryptographic digital cash system, but it was not decentralized again. And then in 2009, Satoshi Nakamoto effectively used proof of work at a decentralized platform for a cryptocurrency and successfully deployed the algorithm and then gave it to the community. And at the moment, and even after like 2 years, actually Satoshi Nakamoto disconnected himself from the project itself, and then it has been run in a completely decentralized manner. So, but if you look at the definition, if you want to look at the definition, these were basically the improvements and developments which led to the creation of Bitcoin and also blockchain. It's specifically. So we need to see that what is blockchain now, and just focus on this one. So blockchain is a decentralized digital ledger technology to record anything of value. So it can record anything of value, and not only that, it can also basically transfer that value among the transacting parties. So the main components of blockchain is, number one is public key and private key to create a secure digital identity reference. So since the parties which of a transactions are anonymous, so they need this public and private keys. And then it's a digital ledger. So the shared contents and databases available to the participants of a particular blockchain ecosystem. So you can see that like when you have a network of people connected to that ledger, this ledger cannot only be secured, but also can be shared among the participating network nodes. So then we have node application. So every computer needs a node application specific to the blockchain ecosystem that is wants to participate in, because this is very important that not only that like you need to have you can how you can participate in that system is through node application. And then algorithm is basically the protocols which have to be designed for adding the data into the blockchain or the ledger itself. And then you need also virtual machine to run the node application on a computer. So these are basically the main components of blockchain. And then the other functions actually are basically hash functions. So a hash function is a function that converts an input of letters and numbers into an encrypted output of a fixed length. So hash function is actually used for private and public keys to make them encrypted and secured. And then a block is actually a container of data structure. A block can contain data of transactions on a block, and it can be any data actually. It does not have to be a transaction or a payment, but it can be anything of value, or any data which you want to say, stored on blockchain can be put into the block. And then nonce is actually a number only used once, is a number added to a hash block that when rehashed meets the difficulty level restrictions. This is very technical, but the thing is, the concept behind it is that the nonce is actually sets the difficulty level so that people who are working to improve the system or keeping the system secured by proving that they have worked for the system, they have this specific level of difficulty so that like the hackers cannot just simply hack it. And it will be very, very difficult for hackers to basically hack a blockchain system. And then mining is again another concept which is relevant, very important to blockchain. That it is the process of adding transaction to the large distributed public ledger of existing transactions known as the blockchain. So, but again, there is another thing we need to know is that mining is not uh, obligatory, or it's not compulsory for every blockchain. Some blockchains can basically work without mining. And then a digital signature provides validation and authentication in digital form. It is a private key, and a private key is used to digitally sign a transaction on blockchain. So the transaction can be, if you may want to call it a transaction, if it is a payment system, or if it is not a payment system, then the transaction will be in the form of data only. So like it's like a data entry. So if you look at that transaction or the data first is initiated and requested to be put into the platform. So in this, we are taking the example of a transaction. So here, someone requests a transaction from another party, and then the requested transaction is broadcast to P2P network consisting of nodes. The nodes validate the transaction using known algorithms, and then once verified, the transaction is combined with other transactions to create a new block of data for the ledger. The new block is then added to the existing chain of blocks, and then the transaction is completed. So that's how actually blockchain works. Now, in the last section, I'm going to talk about the main features why blockchain has gathered so much attraction and why it is a big thing. So number one is decentralization is one of the most critical feature of blockchain technology, which is the reason of many of its strength. Why? Because Due to decentralization, it is secured. The data on blockchain is highly secured, trusted, and safe, and it's immutable as well. So none of the previous entries in the ledger could be modified in any way. And then because of decentralization, again, there is a high level of transparency. Whole transactional data is readily viewable and traceable by all parties, ensuring high level of transparency. And then because it is decentralized, you do not need a huge computational power in one place. So efficiency is being achieved by making the computational power into small units and distributing it among the nodes or the participating network participants of the network. So the fastest ways to transfer value across the globe is basically blockchain. And because also another thing is like because it is decentralized, you actually do not need intermediaries to perform the transaction or validate it. But Bitcoin has its, blockchain has its own limitations. For example, like scalability, since it is a very distributed ledger and it is decentralized, if the network is not robust with widely distributed nodes, it becomes more difficult to reap the full potential. So like if let's suppose that you have blockchain, but it is not distributed well and it is not decentralized well, it's a centralized ledger, then you may not be able to actually reap the full potential and all the benefits of blockchain. Complexity is another thing, is because it's a new technology and it will take some time to get matured. So the expertise, although like there are so many people who have already built up their expertise in it, but due to lack of expertise, is still developing or coding blockchain algorithms seem to be highly complex. And then that is why it is a challenging situation that how complex transaction or products or complex data can be transferred to blockchain or not. And then because of lack of expertise, there is a high chance of human error as well. Since the technology is still new, the chances of human error, security flaws, and bugs are and will be there. And I think that because of that, many we have seen that many parties or many institutions and organizations are still reluctant to use blockchain as their platform. And then privacy issues are also there because the features of transparency and traceability can be considered as a strength. But privacy issue might be a huge problem because how you will manage and strike a balance between traceability and transparency and privacy. And then regulations, so many legal and regulatory and governance issues are also there, and they have to be resolved before blockchain could go mainstream. Because how you are going to basically protect the data, and then how you are going to protect the privacy, and how you are going to actually do various things. For example, like if it is a complete anonymous platform, then how will you ensure the anti-money laundering act, and also how will you ensure that there is no tax evasion or terrorist financing or something like that. So it is a very challenging situation, and because of that, regulations need to be very robust and comprehensive. So with that, actually, I end my presentation. Thank you so much. If you have any question, please do so, because I am not sure, but Mr. Asif, do we have the Q&A at the moment, or maybe at a later stage?
There is some question. One thing, can you clarify what is the difference between the blockchain and the Bitcoin? So
Okay.
we take
So,
two question and we'll move to a Kwame presentation.
Okay, yeah, so perfect. If you can see, Bitcoin is actually a platform. Oh, sorry. Bitcoin is actually a product. So if you can imagine that there is an operating system like Windows, and there are so many applications on that system. So Windows is basically an operating system, and you have to install it on your computer. And then afterwards, you can install other products, for example, like Microsoft Office. So again, having this analogy and employing it on the Bitcoin and blockchain, so blockchain is actually a platform and it can be used for so many purposes. And Bitcoin is only one application of blockchain, and blockchain is not confined to that. So blockchain can be used for various purposes, like for traceability, for other purposes. But the thing is, since Bitcoin was the first use case of blockchain, in the sense that it was workable, and not only that, it has become very popular. People still think that Bitcoin and blockchain are same, but it's not like that. And Bitcoin cannot live or cannot work without blockchain, but blockchain can work without Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency or tokenization.
Okay, so to summarize is that one, that blockchain is the technology which Bitcoin uses that technology to,
Yeah.
concise
Yes.
your answer, that Bitcoin is basically nothing, just is the back end technology which is used by the Bitcoin is the blockchain. There's a question by Jamil Tahir. The difficulty level is set by the algorithm set by architecture of blockchain. Do you think the blockchain can be tempered by the architecture of the algorithm?
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think that again, it depends on whether the system is a decentralized or centralized system. So still, blockchain can be used in a centralized environment, but the architect of the blockchain cannot be tempered if it is decentralized, because it is already available as a public platform, and blockchain as a platform. So it is very difficult to basically temper the level of difficulty in that sense.
Thank you very much, Dr. Farooq. And there is a question by Nizar Lilani that what is the uses of blockchain? In later our presentation, I will be telling about
I
this
think that
usage.
this question will
Yes.
be answered by you, inshallah.
Yes. Mr. Kwame, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. Can you start your presentation back? To Kwame. Thanks a
Yes,
lot. Thanks, Dr. Farooq.
I will start my presentation and share my screen. Basically, my presentation will take us through what smart contracts represent, and from where we left off. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay,
Yes,
cool.
you can see it.
So essentially, the confusion that exists between cryptocurrency and blockchain is essentially the same confusion that exists between these brands. You have a champagne, which is a specific type of sparkling wine, and because of its popularity, it has become synonymous with all sparkling wines. Again, the same problem exists with vacuum cleaners, where Hoover was the original producers of vacuum cleaners. So the name Hoover became synonymous with vacuum cleaners. In the same vein, Bitcoin, which Mr. Farooq correctly talked about as using the use case of blockchain, was the first to utilize blockchain to meet its cryptocurrency agenda. And because of that, that confusion still exists. And I think due to that confusion which exists, there's a slow in the take up of blockchains and the tools such as smart contract, which blockchain also offers. So I hope that clarifies the separation of the two ideas, that Bitcoin essentially just used a technology called blockchain to assist it produce its digital currencies. So my part of the presentation will go into smart contracts. And smart contracts, in a simple term, is a means of deploying and creating code on the blockchain platform. And many companies exist that uses the blockchain platform. to basically utilize smart contracts. So everybody should think of a smart contract as a code, a software that you develop for blockchains. So essentially, smart contracts are blockchain 2.0. And what it allows you to do, it allows you to deploy code onto the blockchain platform. And one of the companies that are actually doing that is a company called Ethereum. And essentially, Ethereum is a company that utilizes the blockchain platform to deploy its smart contracts through the Ethereum virtual machines. And these virtual machines basically allows anybody to code on the blockchain platform. And the tools that you need basically to launch and to utilize the Ethereum platform to code on blockchain is 3 simple tools. One tool which is called Node.js, another one which is called Truffle, and another one which is called Ganache. And once all those have been deployed, one is able to basically start their development in blockchain. And that's the overview of my presentation. And I will give you a quick example of what a smart contract is. And can you guys see my screen? And here is basically a folder of a smart contract, which was deployed using the 3 tools that I mentioned. And that's my
Mr.
contract.
Kwame,
basically.
we cannot see your screen.
Oh, you cannot see the screen?
Yeah, we can see your picture, but we cannot see your screen.
Okay. Can you see it now?
Yeah, we can see it now.
Okay, so essentially what this is a folder for the production environment of a typical smart contract. And just like any development environment, it consists of the source codes, the test folder, and also the node folder, which contains all your node dependencies that you need for your development. So smart contracts are essentially code that you write in a programming language called Solidity. And that allows you to basically deploy smart contracts such as this. And that's the end of my presentation.
Okay, wonderful. I think that we are going to move to Mr. Asif's presentation now. So, and it's a very wonderful presentation. But if there are any questions, please let us know. Before we move to Mr. Asif's presentation, we can have some questions right now to Mr. Kwame.
Could somebody read out the questions to me, please?
Yeah, yes, please. I am going to do that, inshallah. So, who controls data in blockchain and what is the level of transparency in it?
Right, there's on a platform like Ethereum, basically you have full transparency of all the smart contracts, i.e. the code that is deployed on it. And nobody controls it. Essentially what happens is each node on the Ethereum platform is a virtual machine. And that virtual machine is basically a node on the network and which verifies your code.
Okay, perfect. And there are a few questions actually, but I think that it is relevant to all of us, all the panelists, respected panelists. So I think that once after we finish with Mr. Asif's presentation, we can also take these questions. So we have open questions around 10. So we will take it after Mr. Asif's presentation, because I think that I believe that like a few questions will be answered by his presentation. So Mr. Asif, the floor is yours.
1 minute. Yes, sure. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. And then now my topic is about this blockchain technology and use cases. That everybody knows that blockchain, have so many uses and opportunities are there. The blockchain is used in banking, land registry, ID, supply chain, food, taxation, and you can name. It's just move like a moving target. Today we are using in in banking. Tomorrow it will be in shipping, aviation. So the name the industry in which there are so many use cases, but I will be targeting on 2 3 main use cases to understand that how the blockchain works in a real time basis and in real life cases. So what is blockchain is good for. When we talk about blockchain is a store of value, cryptocurrency. Blockchain is also useful for a store of information, for a robotic audit trail for historical truth, and blockchain is also very powerful, in for trading system. For example, is very in cyber security. And have one thing I want to tell you is that that about 2% of aeroplane parts are counterfeit. Provenance is the process of process of understanding where an aeroplane parts come from, the factories, and how it goes to the blockchain system can be used to establish very strong provenance for the airplane part. You can understand even a 2% part is counterfeit in aeroplane, and how much risk is there. Blockchain can be can hold potential for transform healthcare, drugs development. Researchers out of MIT have postulated that it could actually use blockchain to reduce the cost of drugs development by 50%, the time to market for new life-saving drugs by 50%, rapidly accelerating the pace of innovation in biomedical. Now, everybody knows corona. So I will start with what is the use of blockchain in coronavirus environment. So because this is the hot topic, that how this blockchain technology can use in a coronavirus. So coronavirus, that human race now is been suffering from this takeaway live thousands. Today around more than 3 million people are being affected in of coronavirus. As country fight about the world, WHO is now calling a global pandemic. Blockchain is finding a way in a number of efforts to assist individuals, institutions, and business around the world. Coronavirus breakout has not only imposed the threat to the whole, humanity for medical and health perspective, but also from the aspect of food and economics. More evil actors in the society have found opportunities of fraudulent activities in current pandemic. Food, medicals, health products need more transparency and public disclosure than ever before. So fake products and medical equipment are already being used during this crisis. So being able to track these things and to come to ensure that they are genuine is vital. Thanks to the default feature of decentralization, digital, distributed, and immutability of blockchain, the technology mainly concerned managing supply chain in crisis. In supply chain, I will telling you in later in my presentation that how the supply chain is using the blockchain technology along with other technologies like IoTs and big data and other things like that. The state, scrambles to effectively contain the coronavirus outbreaks. They are beginning to employ blockchain technology to streamline bureaucratic process and ensure that the people receive the urgent healthcare they need safely and efficiently. The example which are this like tracking donation and economic stimulus packages. Chinese blockchain startup that Hyperchain developed blockchain based donation tracking platform called Shenzong. Donor can track donation at every stage, see when their money resembles the needed medical equipment. So blockchain is being using to track live tracking of the stimulus packages. As US Congress explored $2 trillion economic stimulus package creation of digital dollar. Now first they deleted it, now again it's a question that they are going to use an issue. US is going to issue a digital dollar. Establishment of digital dollar wallets, a blockchain solution can help in creating such digital dollar and ensure companies adherence to the conditions set in such packages. For example, guaranteeing workers retention, committing to new standard to rebuild the companies, for example, executive compensation and share buybacks. Other things which in coronavirus related to that healthcare, streamlining insurance claims, supply chain, as I've already told that how the supply chain is using blockchain. Government around the world are battling to overcome the legacy procurement system that cannot move at the pace they demand. This means the country around the world are missing out, supplies that cannot set, financial mechanism in place of time rather than, hours rather than the week. The blockchain-based platform enables the review, recording, tracking demand, supply and logistic of pandemic, epidemic prevention material. For example, initiated by Alipay. You all must be knowing about the Alipay with Xiang, Provincial Health Commission and Economic and Information Technology Department. So these are the things which, in coronavirus environment, blockchain is helping. Then the most important thing comes in our mind is identity management. So what is identity management and how blockchain is used, using the identity management is using this identity management to help. Blockchain is good for keeping important, medical records safe and secure. It has built up now the most use of blockchain in healthcare so far. Having medical record on blockchain also reduce costly mistakes and making assessing the logs easier and quicker, since the basic authentication and authorization operation execute within 2-3 seconds. It can help with instant verification or applicant identification, supporting document, making the process smoother and transparent to all the parties involved. So then is this land registry, land registry, how it's using the in land registry, the tracking, and that one I will show you a video that how basically the, it's how it's using, helping the blockchain is in the land registry. Sorry, where is that one? Yes.
Many people think of blockchain as the technology that powers Bitcoin. While this was its original purpose, blockchain is capable of so much more. Despite the sound of the word, there's not just one blockchain. Blockchain is shorthand for a whole suite of distributed ledger technologies that can be programmed to record and track anything of value, from financial transactions to medical records or even land titles. You might be thinking, we already have processes in place to track data. What's so special about blockchain? Let's break down the reasons why blockchain technology stands to revolutionize the way we interact with each other. Reason number one, the way it tracks and stores data. Blockchain stores information in batches called blocks that are linked together in a chronological fashion to form a continuous line, metaphorically, a chain of blocks. If you make a change to the information recorded in a particular block, you don't rewrite it. Instead, the change is stored in a new block, showing that X changed to Y at a particular date and time. Sound familiar? That's because blockchain is based on the centuries-old method of the general financial ledger. It's a non-destructive way to track data changes over time. Here's one example. Let's say there was a dispute between Anne and her brother Steve over who owns a piece of land that's been in the family for years. Because blockchain technology uses the ledger method, there is an entry in the ledger showing that Adam first owned the property in 1900. When Adam sold the property to Dave in 1930, a new entry was made in the ledger, and so on. Every change of ownership of this property is represented by a new entry in the ledger, right up until Anne bought it from their father in 2007. Anne is the current owner, and we can see that history in the ledger. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Unlike the age-old ledger method, originally a book, then a database file stored on a single system, blockchain was designed to be decentralized and distributed across a large network of computers. This decentralizing of information reduces the ability for data tampering and brings us to the second factor that makes blockchain unique. It creates trust in the data. Before a block can be added to the chain, a few things have to happen. First, a cryptographic puzzle must be solved, thus creating the block. The computer that solves the puzzle shares the solution to all of the other computers on the network. This is called proof of work. The network will then verify this proof of work, and if correct, the block will be added to the chain. The combination of these complex math puzzles and verification by many computers ensures that we can trust each and every block on the chain. Because the network does the trust building for us, we now have the opportunity to interact directly with our data in real time. And that brings us to the third reason blockchain technology is such a game changer. No more intermediaries. Currently, when doing business with one another, we don't show the other person our financial or business records. Instead, we rely on trusted intermediaries, such as a bank or lawyer, to view our records and keep that information confidential. These intermediaries build trust between the parties and are able to verify, for example, that yes, Anne is the rightful owner of this land. This approach limits exposure and risk, but also adds another step to the exchange, which means more time and money spent. If Anne's land title information was stored in a blockchain, she could cut out the middleman, her lawyer, who would ordinarily confirm her information with Steve. As we now know, all blocks added to the chain have been verified to be true and can't be tampered with, so Anne can simply show Steve her land title information secured on the blockchain. Anne would save considerable time and money by cutting out the middleman. This type of trusted peer-to-peer interaction with our data can revolutionize the way we access, verify, and transact with one another. And because blockchain is a type of technology and not a single network, it can be implemented in many different ways. Some blockchains can be completely public and open to everyone to view and access. Others can be closed to a select group of authorized users, such as your company, a group of banks, or government agencies. And there are hybrid public-private blockchains too. In some, those with private access can see all the data, while the public can see only selections. In others, everyone can see all the data, but only some people have access to add new data. A government, for example, could use a hybrid system to record the boundaries of Anne's property and the fact that she owns it while keeping her personal information private. Or it could allow everyone to view property records, but reserve to itself the exclusive right to update them. It is the combination of all these factors, decentralizing of the data, building trust in the data, and allowing us to interact directly with one another and the data that gives blockchain technology the potential to underpin many of the ways we interact with one another. But much like the rise of the internet, this technology will bring with it all kinds of complex policy questions around governance, international law, security, and economics. Here at the Center for International Governance Innovation, we seek to bring trusted research that will equip.
Hopefully you understand this presentation. There are 2-3 takeaways from that presentation. This video is that there are three types of blockchain: private, public, and hybrid blockchains. Second thing is that the main purpose of blockchain is to remove the intermediary, and the buyer and the seller can act each other directly. So these are the benefits of the blockchain technology. Now I will go to supply chain, another most important thing, which the blockchain, after the financial sectors, the blockchain has been implemented and used mostly in the supply chain areas. And I think, yes, counterfeit drugs in third world countries, contaminated milk powder in China. There are many uses cases explored, food stuff in hypermarket, this blood diamond, livestock, airplane parts, cargo and shipping, clothing manufacturing, counterfeit, alcohol, and much more. Like nowadays, like Nike and Adidas especially are using, and the mobile, this Apple, other, they are using, going to use the blockchain technology. And there is a barcode. When you scan the barcode, their app is there, so you will come to know that whether that product is genuine or not. And it will tell you whole the history, that where it was manufactured, how it was transported, and how this product specifically has reached to you. This is the important, this is called supply chain. The supply chain in blockchain is using with IoTs like drones and other things like that. So I will another show you another presentation which is regarding the supply chain, how the supply chain is about the coffee, story of a coffee, how the coffee bean, is being manufactured into coffee, and how it's transported, and how it's used your cup, reach to your cup. So in this is an example, perfect example of supply chain using the blockchain technology. So I'm starting that one.
If you think your coupa was made in a coffee maker in under 2 minutes, think again. Hello there, I am a proud Arabica coffee bean. My journey has been long, and I have passed through many hands: farmers, traders, shippers, insurers. Coffee supply chain has too many stakeholders. Have you ever wondered about my lineage? Did you know it has always been nearly impossible to track where or how your coffee was made? Until recently, when blockchain technology took over and brought accountability into the supply chain. Today, you can trace your coffee's journey from Brazil, India, or Indonesia from the very beginning. Are you enjoying my story? Let's move on to the next phase. Look at the planting process. Miguel, my farmer, although a tad rough, was a great guy. He planted me in the best possible soil, protected me from harsh sunlight, and nourished me with water. He waited patiently until I was strong enough to brave the outside world before replanting me. Replanting took some time, and getting used to my snoring neighbor took even longer. Let's move on to the next phase of my life. Here's where I met Mr. Inspector for the first time. Pulling and twisting my arms and legs, he poked and prodded every bit of me, and recorded all my details, including my type, fertilizers used, farm, and family I came from, and stamped my tamper-proof origin certificate digitally. Then began my happy hours at the spa, or what Miguel calls harvesting and processing. I was blocked, hulled, polished, graded, sorted. Oh, bliss. All these, while registration details, crop information, such as variety, temperature, and humidity, were being recorded. Finally, after getting stamped with a quality certificate, I was sent on to the next phase of my life: transportation. Want to join me in my next phase? Let me warn you, it's a rocky road ahead. The journey began with insurance. I was insured well. In case something happened to me, at least Miguel wouldn't lose his livelihood. Shipping was hard though. I had to say goodbye to many of my brothers before hopping into the sisal bag. After a long journey, I reached the party central, the warehouse. I met so many other coffee beans from across the world and just chilled for a while. While I was partying, Blockchain ensures that shippers deliver me to the right address. Miguel got paid in real time, and the importer got his delivery on time. This brings us to the last phase in my journey. You are now very close to your hot, steaming Koopa. I took a nice long sauna bath at the perfect temperature to retain my aroma, while the roaster recorded my details. Then, when I winked at you from the supermarket shelf, we both knew it was love at first sight. So, that's my life in a nutshell. It's all because of blockchain that you are sure of the authenticity of my origins. It has brought transparency into this dynamic demand chain. Blockchain ensures that nothing gets in the way of brewing your perfect shot of espresso. Take our trivia test, and when you are done, use the app next to the coffee maker to enjoy your steaming Koopa with the goodness of blockchain.
You have seen that the blockchain, how the blockchain is being used in supply chain. In supply chain, it means all the transactions have been recorded digitally and is tampered proof. That in first presentation we have already shown that nothing can be changed. You have to make another block. So these all transaction, the most important thing for a blockchain is the ecosystem. Ecosystem means everything is connected, because you can use blockchain only when this insurance is online, is connected, uh, the digital signatures and verification certificate by the this specter is already online. So when this ecosystem is available, this kind of supply chain can be used the blockchain technology. Then there are uses of blockchain in banking, in banking environment. And then there is, in banking is too many things are there, like blockchain technology create hype from a day for an invention, and it's been granted a lot of more attention in recent years because of transparency, flexibility, nature. Blockchain is being adopted in many industries, growth and development. And then how blockchain sector, alone exception. So banking sector is alone. There are thousands of thousands of transaction fund account across the region, and which shows that the banking sector is one of which predominantly used by the people. And the increased chances challenges in banking and use of blockchain resolve so many things like that. And we will tell you that how the major challenges in bankings are this continuous monitoring, delay time, payment cost, difficult in managing record. These all problems can be sorted out with the use of blockchain technologies. It can reduce the fraudulent, fraudulent errors, ease intervening, transfer, storing of data, smart contract, KYC, low cost, and reduce payment. And then it can help basically in KYC is too many things like add this digital identity. If your identity is on blockchain and is verified by the third party, like when you was born, and your passport and IDs, your all the transcripts and all the your medical history, your birth certificate, your educational documents, it is stored as somewhere and verified by the third party, and you control your, this is ID management, which is very important in uh, it's one of the core benefits of using a blockchain. It means you control your ID yourself, your ID management. Like all the information is available to you, and you control your ID yourself. Now if you want to use a ID for creating account for Facebook, so you control your ID. You will not share any data at Facebook, only your age, like birth certificate and your name, what is that one. So nothing blockchain, Facebook can use your information unless you allow to them. Like banks, you have your ID on, it's on blockchain verified with a third party. They require something like that, your financial credibility and all the things like that. So they need your birth certificate. So you can use yourself, select which points you want to give the third party the rights to see your information. This can be done by the ID management. There are so many other things like that. Transferring of fund is cheaper and faster in blockchain technologies like Bitcoin and other things like that. According to the report in World Bank, officially recorded remittance to a low and middle income countries reached 466 billion in 2017, increased to 8.5% to 429 billion in 2016. The top recipient was India with 69 billion, followed by China by 64 billion. The same reported mentioned that the average cost of transferring a US dollar is 7.1%. So now calculating 7.1% on average US 66 460 billion dollar, the cost of remittance is almost 33 billion, which is a big loss in the transit. For India alone, it's a loss of around 5 billion, which is almost 0.05% of their GDP in 2017-18. So it's a worth. So is it worth spending so much for on intermediary banks and financial institutions to transfer your monies? What's the solution? The solution is that this crypto assets and crypto coins, and digitally you can transfer your money using this one. So I give a place an example, a video for you. For let us skip and go something else which is to cover faster because time is running. That how the blockchain is using using in challenges in trade finance, like in shipping and IoTs and supporting in trade finance, how they're using this one. You can see it's a complex one. It's the last one. Sorry, this one. Frequently, ecosystem requires the solution is that you start from importer to exporter. You see so many processes are involved, like documentation, carrier, invoicing, import, customs duty, import terminal, shippers, export terminal, pre-shippings, document. So in these almost more than 2,000 documentation are required. But if this all process is on blockchain, it will be requiring traditional model will require so many things. It is simple. You have blockchain process, and IBM have already developed a system of this system on a blockchain basis to do this trade finance. It is called V-Trade. It is being used by Standard Chartered banks nowadays, and other banks are also going to use that one. There are so many other cases of blockchain is for security, baggage tracking in aviation, ticket overbooking, document verifications, and in aeroplane aviation, this blockchain will be used. Currently, collaboration in the world to make real business, like in banking, trade, where this blockchain has been used in trade finance, digital identity, international payment, in banking, financial market, clearing and settlement, know how your customer KYC, this unlisted securities. In insurance, blockchain has been used to specifically complex, risk coverage, subsidization, group benefits, and reinsurance. In healthcare, medical health, data exchange, critical, trail management, clinical trade management, all these things. In government, fraud and compliance, supply chain visibility, registry, and identity. In customers, and consumer, food and safety, traceability. These are the metrics which blockchain has been used. And there are some companies which are using the blockchain industry pattern. V-Trade, I have already told you, this is made by IBM. It's been used for the trade purpose for LCs and other things. Like it's a blockchain platform. And instead of using the conventional one, we are using the V-Trade system. Then in identity and know how your KYC, they are secure key and AKIA. And then in healthcare is FDA, and fraud and compliance registry is Smart Dubai. They are using that one. DLD Dubai Land Department is also is on blockchain nowadays. So and then demand for blockchain engineering is increased by 400% since the end of 2017. Why blockchain? Working together, build a solution. Single secure truth. The data is shared between the buyer seller, so less reconciliation is needed. Then the event based automatic payment trigger through smart contract. The immutable and traceability aspect of this technology prevent fraud or discussion. And then the lastly is this disintermediation, means there is no intermediary required, so there is direct interaction between the buyer and seller, first and the second party. Then, in corporate industries, invest in large blockchain initiative to benefit from that. There are 2 smart cities have been built on blockchain ecosystem, the Smart Dubai, and then other one is in China, which has been making by around 30 billion, dollars. The smart city fund is being used for this actually. Then Microsoft is using project manifest of track products, and then port of Rotterdam is using this blockchain technology. Others are Bosch and other so many companies which are been using the blockchain technology platforms. And now there is lastly, I want to finish my presentation by taking, there's an Oxford strategy framework that you see that whether your business or your process require a blockchain or not. There are some criteria you have to check. If these are met, then it means blockchain. You can use the blockchain technology, and it's beneficial to use blockchain technology in your product, process, whatever is that. Number one is that there is a reputable process that leads itself to automation. If yes, it requires blockchain. Is there an ongoing and long running transaction or process rather than a process that occurs once? If there is a one-time process, it's not viable to use the blockchain technology. There are multiple stakeholders in the process of value chain. Is the role of reconciling disparate data usually played by one party or a limited number of parties? Remembering the value is not only monetary, there is an element of value transfer. Is there a value in a immutable record, or immutable records are required? So there are then these are the key criteria where you can understand and define. You can understand that your process or your product require a blockchain technology or not. Others are, there are 3 kind of layers in blockchain: is protocol layer, network layer, and application. This is a little technical one. So how to start a journey of blockchain? That first get trained, then concerned, and then finally you can go and build your own project on a blockchain. But thank you very much. This is Asif Zaman from Alif Technology. My presentation ends over here. So Dr. Farooq, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Thank you so much, Mr. Asif, for this wonderful presentation.
And then we can answer the question. It's up to you, back to you for answering the question. Thanks.
Yes, I think that me and Mr. Kwame have been answering few questions, and then there are a few interesting questions which Mr. Kwame said that it would be good if we can actually answer them live, because then it will make the session also more interactive. So in that sense, let me just start with the few open questions over here. There is one question, and please feel free if you would like to answer. I mean, it is basic. These questions are being asked towards the whole panel. So one question is, how much time required by regulating bodies like in Pakistan to make this technology legal?
I would like to answer that one. This technology, basically, the technology is not illegal in Pakistan. The technology has been used in agriculture and other so many places already in place. Only thing is that Pakistan government, the State Bank of Pakistan, have not allowed the digital transactions like Bitcoin and assets, and they have not allowed to open the digital exchanges. Rest, the blockchain technology already is in place there in Pakistan, has been used in different products and other things like that. So, and it will take little time to develop an ecosystem, which I have already told that everything has to be online, and there should be processes and other things like certification body, customs, and all the things. They have already started in Pakistan an initiative called PSW, Pakistan single window. It means they will combine all this agencies and other things, especially for importing some goods and exporting that one. Once these things are in place, it will help to implement the blockchain technology in all the other places.
Okay, perfect. And then another question is basically can blockchain only be effective if every stakeholder in the transaction ecosystem is on it?
Yes, it will be effective only when every participant is on the that's why I told you the ecosystem is the most important thing in implementing blockchain anywhere in the world.
Okay, Mr. Kwame, would you like to add something?
No, I'm
Okay.
okay for now.
Okay, there is one interesting question that are measures being put in place to solve the anonymity nature of the blockchain so that it could be accepted and legalized in other countries. So do you think that anonymity of blockchain and transaction is a concern? And if it is a concern, then are there any measures to solve this problem?
Uh, yes, there is already now, the information nowadays, now like if you want to trade in blockchain crypto assets, your complete it is through exchanges. Now you cannot do directly. This question pretend especially to crypto asset and digital coins. The question, it is pertaining to that situation in which this enormity is there, that you don't know who is the buyer, who is the seller. Now I think that every country have already defined its rules and regulation, that how the crypto assets can be traded in their country specifically, and all the exchanges in specific countries have to follow these rules and regulation. I think that now this problem is already been sorted out and solved. Farooq, can you put more light on that one, because you have been working with Central Bank of Malaysia yourself for 6 years?
Mhm. Yeah, actually, this is a very good question. But you know that if we are concerned about anti-money laundering, tax evasion, and also like KYC and terrorist financing, these kind of acts and these kind of concern, uh, blockchain gives you more traceability. Because of that, initially, although like everybody thought that anonymity feature is so strong that traceability feature can basically overcome it. So there have been so many cases where it was used for illegal purposes. I mean the transactions and those kind of things. But since the regulators and also the governments have found out that it is very much traceable, like it is more traceable, it gives you more traceability than cash itself. So now the people who are basically evil players or factors, so they are basically shying away from cryptocurrencies, in the sense that like because they are very much they are highly traceable. So every transaction is already on the blockchain. Because of that, now the trend is being reversed. And I think that anonymity may not be a problem, because there are so many ways to get the data of a person who is using blockchain doing some transactions. For example, like in your mobile phone or in your laptop, the data is already available about you, and this metadata can be accessed by the regulators or by the governments if they want to, so that like they can trace those transactions. So the anonymity factor is no longer being very effective here. But having said that, there are so many other blockchains which are basically designed to cater the needs and maintain the anonymity there. So there are blockchains as for basically built for this purpose. So anyway, I think that it's a challenging questions, and regulators have to decide that what they have to do and what they cannot do, because regulations are always like salt. So you cannot put so much salt in food, or you cannot basically have food without salt as well. So you have to strike a balance, that how much it has to be there. So I think that we have another question. I think that it is directed
Kwame,
towards
so
Kwame.
Mr. Kwame, can you show your beautiful face also? People want to see
Hi,
you also.
yeah. My video is off, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's why. See,
Hi
you look
guys.
so
Sorry.
handsome.
Okay, Mr. Kwame, there is one questions for you. There is one question for you. Is that how can data which is stored on blockchain can be managed? Because the storage of the huge data is a big problem.
Well, when you talk about blockchain and management of data, it comes automatically, right? Because each data committed to the chain is assigned a hash and also linked to a previous hash. So the management takes care of itself there. But as for the size of the data, it depends on the computing, isn't it? The computing power.
Okay, perfect. And then there is one question I think that I will direct you to both of you, that who are the miners? For example, like if we take the case of medical records, so which actor will play the role of miners in this one, and how does it better than a centralized system?
I will just put a light on that one. This in medical record, this is not a public blockchain. It will be a private blockchain. First of all, in public blockchain, only the minor roles are there for verifying the transaction, which like in bitcoins are there. In private. The protocol is set like that. There will be one body which will be approving and verifying the record, or it will be 2 3 bodies. Like for example, it is connected, the medical record must be connected with some government organizations and other things like that. Like in UAE, for example, I'm saying that there is the Emirates ID. Somebody, when the record, you will extract the record, he will give you an ID number. The data will be extracted directly from the government agencies. So these are the things in which miners basically is not required in this kind of transition. Kwame, you can put more light on that one.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, on the Ethereum platform, it uses virtual machines, and these virtual machines are individual nodes, and these individual nodes are responsible for validating the authenticity of the data on the platform. So yeah, each virtual machine essentially is a miner on a smart contract basis. Yeah.
Okay, there is another question is like, uh, I think that it was being asked, but who will manage the blockchain, and who actually oversees that blockchain is working with integrity and privacy and security?
A lot of these blockchains are open sourced, and the fact that they're open source guarantees a lot of scrutiny. And that scrutiny comes with the guarantee that the blockchain is at all times doing the right thing. Just like with cryptography, a lot of cryptographic code is open sourced, and the community ensures the viability of it.
Mm-hmm. And then another question is that, like, please give us an idea about identity or digital signature in a global environment. So do you think that that would be a future where you have a decentralized system, but a global system of identity and digital identity, and then you do not have to actually hold your passport when you are flying? You can just go directly to the airport, and then the system is already there. It is already, the data is already being shared, so you can easily go without your passport or something. So
This
do you
is
think that
yes,
it
yes,
is it is a possibility?
it is possibility. It's already on way of doing that one, that you don't need a passport. It's an ID or retina. Already smart Dubai things are there. There are gateways you will pass through. Now that in other part of the world also, you're scanning your ID and you're passing through. There is no other checks on that one. Now in Dubai, they are on the process of making that one. You will pass by retina, and then there is other thumb two kind of verification. You will pass through. You don't need a passport and an ID to come into Dubai and go out of Dubai. It's already anything, I think in a few months time, or maybe in a year time, it will be implemented. And these things already are on blockchain basis. And you may be not requiring now. There is a question mark that they are asking about that, like eSIM, that you don't have to put SIM, that it will be, all when you're landing somewhere, automatically your number will transform. Only thing is that how they will functions between this, that's the ecosystem is not there for universal ecosystem. Once the universal ecosystem is there, there will be no need for, passport. There will be no need for putting a SIM card in your mobiles, and money can be transferred on a mobile basis. Already it is, in place that between Pakistan and Malaysia, they have already reached an agreement in which money can be transferred. Like internally in Pakistan, they are using, Telenor is using to Easy Paisa to transfer money through mobiles. So these all transformations and everything already is in place. Only it will be fine tuning is required. The reason is that some government have restrictions and informations, and the universal ecosystem is not there. Kwame, you want to add something?
Yeah, I mean, the world already operates on such a basis. There's universal acceptance of a passport format, right? There's a universal acceptance of a driving license format. There's a universal acceptance and standards for products. So we are already heading in that direction, but is the question now that exists is the acceptance of the technology. And one thing that helps in any technology being accepted is this demystifying it. And like we've done here today, basically we've demystified and separated cryptocurrency from blockchain, and have established an understanding that yes, cryptocurrency used blockchain as an implementation, but that is not exclusively its use. So yeah, we need to demystify more people and let more people understand that smart contract essentially is just a piece of code on a platform on blockchain technology organized by a brand called Ethereum. And that's essentially all that it is.
Okay, wonderful. There is one interesting question that do you think that blockchain is hackable? I mean, can hackers get into the blockchain? If no, then how come we hear so many news about hacking that some Ethereum or Bitcoin or other crypto assets are being stolen from exchanges, from crypto wallets, and from other sources?
I think Farooq, you can start the answer. Then me and Kwame will
I think
add
that
on that
Kwame, Kwame
Kwame,
can
yes, start,
answer
please.
that one basically.
Okay,
Yeah, sure. No
I mean, with the whole idea of the blockchain is that it's traceable from block to block. So yes, depending on your computing power and depending on the time that you have to satisfy the proof of work and how strong your computing power is to overcome that, everything is hackable, but it depends on the computing power.
So just take an example of a blockchain platform. I mean, specifically the Bitcoin blockchain.
I mean, for
So
the
now,
Bitcoin,
Bitcoin
they have a
blockchain
delay time, right?
No, but the thing is, the Bitcoin blockchain is already well decentralized, the way I say it. So, and then there is a theoretical possibility that if you have like you said, that computational power. So if you need to basically have at least 51% computational power as compared to the whole network, so that like you can manipulate the data in it. Theoretically, it is possible, but do you think that practically is possible?
Well, When nation states get involved in hacking,
Mhm.
yes, it is possible. But on an individual basis, somebody sitting somewhere in their basement, it goes beyond the stretch of imagination. But with the involvement of nation states, yes, it's very possible.
Okay, okay. And but what is the justification of until now that we have seen some of the hacks like on exchanges? So do you think that the blockchain was compromised, or was it something else?
I think most of the stories that we've heard is either somebody died and their wallet's information is gone. So those are human security issues. And I don't think the interpretation of what really happened in those cases is attributed to the weakness of the blockchain, but to misunderstanding and misreporting.
Okay, one question is that can the generic idea of quantum computing break blockchain in the long run? So do you think that blockchain, the purpose of blockchain can be defeated with quantum computing?
See, over there are always a new technology, the enhancement in the technology. When quantum computing will come and 5G will be effective, then this technology, which is blockchain, is basically called DLD, this distributed ledger technology. There are so many other things will be built on. Maybe today we are called is that distributed ledger technology in the sense how it is working. So, like cars, you see that the car came with the passage of time. There is improvement. Now we have electric cars in place. So same goes the technology. If quantum computing is there and things can be solved, which was taking ages, can be solved in a minutes or seconds, then this technology, which is today we are using blockchain technology, will be different, which we'll be using at that time. That's one of my answer. Rest you both can add on that one.
Okay, perfect. There are two questions I'm gonna ask very quickly, and then maybe like perhaps we can wind up our session. So the question is, what is the cost of blockchain system for an organization? If an organization wants to implement blockchain system, what is the cost they are looking at?
It depends on the process and other things, like there are 17 platforms offered by blockchain technology. The problem, one of the drawback of blockchain technology is that there is no standardization. There are around 17 different platforms using different kind of working in them, like Ethereum is there, Trezor is there, and Microsoft is there. These are using their own kind of, IBM is using their different kind of platforms of blockchain. The costing depend, it may vary from one to another. And second thing is that time that blockchain technologies today is immature, it will take time to mature. So the costing today we cannot ascertain correctly, and it is, as of today, is expensive. Only high end organizations and other people are using the blockchain technology. One of the reason is that there are less amount of developers are there, the ecosystem is not there, and it's not tested in all the fields. It's been tested in financial sector, it has already been tested in supply chain, is tested in healthcare, but on a limited basis.
Okay, Kwame, do you have any thoughts on it?
Well, the costing, I mean, is it comes in different levels, isn't it? You have the algorithm. If you want to set up your own platform with your own algorithms, it's going to be costly. But if you want to utilize what exists, a lot of the technologies that I did mention are open source, freely available. So implementation is minimal.
Okay, perfect. So now there, one last question is that like that like in import and exports, how can we use blockchain in those things? Like a businessman wants to basically import things, so can he use blockchain, and how blockchain can benefit that person?
Yeah,
You can,
essentially, what I talked about, smart contracts.
Mhm.
basically autonomous code. So what can happen is in that scenario, in the supply chain, somebody can satisfy some of the requirements for the contracts and meet the requirements that way.
Okay, this I will add on. This IBM is already using vTrade. vTrade is an software platform which has been developed by IBM. Ecosystem to import and export. It can be blockchain be used like vTrade platform and other platform, BitPesa, other things. But the ecosystem has to be there. That ID verification system has to be there. Somebody, the government have, they are all together on a platform. If they are people, they are on a platform, same the ecosystem is there, then easily buyer and seller doesn't have to use the intermediary for bank for doing transaction or import or export, because somebody and some system is verifying their IDs, their financial credibility and other things like that.
Okay, there is people who really would like to have a number actually that at least tell us what is the estimated cost of having a blockchain system. So do we have a magic number over here?
No, for me.
The magic number is depending on this criteria, like a software is not a software which is that's why I have already told that till now blockchain is not matured, the technology.
Okay.
It is not pre-made. Softwares are not available in the market. Only specific on order and customizations you can get these things done.
So I think that, let me just add to that, because really people would like to implement blockchain, but cost is basically the biggest concern for them. For me, I must tell you that it really depends on different factors. Number one is like, what kind of system do you have? For what purpose do you want to use blockchain for? And what is the benefit you are expecting from it? And how much resources you already have? Do you have any infrastructure or not? So these are very vague variables, a very general one, and we have to basically consider them in having a cost. Of course, because from my experience, what I have seen is like writing a smart contract. You can basically hire a blockchain expert who can write a smart contract for you, which is not so much costly at the moment. And then you have to pay a gas fees for running that smart contract on it. For, let's suppose that you have chosen to run your smart contract on Ethereum blockchain. So then you have to just pay the gas around $100 to $200, and that's it. So like half of the Ethereum. So, but
And
yeah,
the other
again,
thing
it
is,
depends on so many things. The whole infrastructure has to be there.
on the Ethereum platform, for instance, it doesn't cost you to read contracts from there. What it costs is basically to modify. Yeah. So the variations is so much.
So yeah, I think that a smart contract is not the only thing which you need. So to implement the whole system into your business or incorporate anything in your activity, so you need to have the whole infrastructure for that, and it may cost you a lot in that sense.
See, this is one of our things which we are doing at Alif Technologies. That one, we understand the core. If you come to us, that we understand that whether the blockchain is viable or feasible for you or not, and what kind of platform. There are 17 around platforms. Is the cheapest one to be used for developing a blockchain system, and the future is lies is on blockchain. Today we all know that, like, we are talking in English language. Tomorrow, if somebody doesn't know the IT knowledge, it doesn't know the fintech, doesn't know the blockchain, my suggestion to all my participants there are to spend some time to understand these technologies, how it works, and because the future lies in that one. All the system, all the economy will eventually transform and transfer to these kind of ecosystems like the passports, the immigration system, the supply system, the financial system. All this system eventually will be transferred to technology which is called blockchain today. Maybe tomorrow we call this technology with some other names. So that's all from my side. And if you have some other questions, you can write to us and send email to us, to me, Kwame, or Dr. Farrokh, and we will try to help you and sort it out. And we are, conducting from time to time this e-learning series to give knowledge, free knowledge, to all the people throughout the world who are there, and they can contact us, and we'll be more than happy to help them out.
I think that it was a wonderful session. From the deepest of my heart, I'm really thankful to Mr. Kwame to join us and shared his knowledge and experience with the participants. And I think that it was a wonderful session. Although, like, we still have some questions, but I really appreciate, like, if you can send those questions via email to me or to Mr. Asif, and inshallah we will try our best to get back to you and directly answering those questions. So that will be great. And even if Mr. Faizan has just shared a document, a form, so please fill out the form, and if you have that question, then you can also put that question in that section, saying that, like, we had a question but it was not answered during the session. So we would be very happy to get back to you, inshallah.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks a lot. Thank you so much. Nice having you. Assalamu alaikum and take care.